If you mess this up, I'm gonna night. Just kidding. Yeah. All right. Welcome to Zack and Riley Have a Theory, episode 1. This is a podcast about conspiracy theories. And I'm Riley.
I'm Zach.
And why are we doing this? Zach, you go first.
We're brothers and we live in 2 different cities. And instead of playing video games or calling each other and knowing what's going on in each other's lives, we've decided to talk about conspiracy theories and sort of getting older. We know that the older demographic is more prone to believing conspiracy theories. I love conspiracy theories. So we decided to trade a little bit, see if we can convince each other, educate each other, and keep up as well.
Right. I just became a dad, and I feel like the older I get, the more I'm just gonna fully believe in half this stuff. I'm already kind of there, but there goes my phone.
I think as soon as you got a farm and started planting things at your house, your frequency of sending me far right media really increased.
I don't know if I've sent you any far right media. I consume. I don't really consume much media, but I do.
That's where they get you. That's where they get you. You can't consume the media. You got to be outside of the nanosphere.
That's right. In terms of where I am, Zach, I just want to set the stage. I'm in the spooky shed right now. I'm in my shed, and there are windows, and it's all dark out there, but it's light in here. And on my way there, I had my way outside. It was all dark. I had my headlamp. Slender Man. I could only see the front because it's a little ways to the shed. I look to my left. There's a cat in my yard, and the cat is just climbs up the fence and runs away. And then I just started getting spooked out. And if I hear a knock at the door or a finger at the window, dude, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah.
So you look like you're in a nice, warm home.
It's a secure location for sure. But across from me, I'm at a window right now, is my neighbor's window, because both of these houses were built the exact same way. And so
Nice.
the window directly across from me, looking straight into my neighbor's bathroom. So that could be spooky eventually, for sure.
Well, what's also spooky is disappearing when you go on a hike. So let's jump into it. What we're going to talk about today, and Zach, I think you're familiar with this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Dyatlov Pass incident. People have made videos on this before. It's, I would say, a fairly well-known conspiracy just because it's so mysterious. I don't think it's like JFK or moon landing level of conspiracy, and maybe we'll cover those. I really want to cover JFK. I feel like that's you're the one you've got the most knowledge on. But yeah, you would say you're pretty familiar with this conspiracy theory?
I've heard the story before. I've seen a few videos, but I don't know all the details.
Okay. Well, I'm going to jump in and we'll just go through the details real quick. And at the end, we'll just hopefully say what explanation we think is the most realistic for what happened. This one's definitely a spooky one. The first time I read about this, I was very much intrigued. It mixes kind of Soviet Russia with spooky campsite vibes, there's just lots of interesting aspects to this. And so just to jump in, this happened in 1959. Already it's spooky because they don't know if it was on February 1st or February 2nd when all this happened, but there were 9 Soviet ski hikers, which is just really cool. And they went on they all went to Ural Polytechnical Institute. What do you think their mascot was?
The Yetis?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's this guy, Igor Dyatlov, who the incident is named after. It's called the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Okay.
And this was a hike that was the highest difficulty level at the time. I believe it was something like grade 2. So everybody who was involved on the hike had to be a certain level. And then when they came back from this hike, it was so difficult that they would have all been granted grade 3 status for um
Who's coming up with this? If this is the hardest hike, who's there like, yeah, 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 grade 3. Like the guy back home didn't do the hike. So he's not in a position to give the grade 3 status. What is that?
that's actually a really good question. They didn't have Google Maps either, so it's probably just some guy like looking up the hill of like it's a grade 2. I'm
Like
telling
that's
you.
pretty hard. That's pretty hard.
Yeah, that looks pretty hard. All right, well, so Igor he takes 8 people with him. And what happens, well, it's actually it's 10 people. Sorry. There's Igor. I'll just run through the list of all the people and just butcher everyone's names. These are the people who went on the hike. There's Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, Leonila Dubinina, Rustem Slobodin, Yuri Doroshenko, Yuri Krivonishenko, Alexander Kolevatov, Nikolai Thibaut Brignon, French last name, like harder to pronounce than the
Oh,
Russian one
that's suspicious.
already, but Russian first name, Nikolai. Semyon Zolotaryov and Yuri Yudin.
Mm,
So there were 10 people that went on the hike. Um, Igor was 23, so pretty young,
yeah.
but a really, really good hike leader. He was very well organized, very safety minded. And they actually tracked.
What kind of terrain is this? Where is this? Are we talking snow? Are we talking regular mountains?
So it was supposed to be challenging. They decided to go in February, which was probably like the hardest time they could have decided to go. February, definitely in Russia, where they were leaving from, already gonna be snowy and difficult. And so they went to the center of a northern province called Sverdlovsk Oblast on the 25th of January, and then like took a truck. At the beginning of the trip, just right off the bat, Yuri Yudin, he already had a couple of health issues. He turned back because of knee and joint pain,
Mm,
which made him unable to continue the hike. I'd like to think he was just kind of like, eh, like
yeah.
apparently they left all the alcohol and drugs behind. They didn't
Dude,
want.
knee really hurts, guys. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back there and just wait for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be here. Grade 2 is fine with me. So he pieced out. So there were 9 people. And so they pressed on towards Kholat Syakhl, which is like known as Dead Mountain.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah. And so, it started to get really, really snowy. And they decided to, on the 31st of January, they decided to still go ahead and prepare for climbing. There's this wooded valley that they come to where they actually store some food and equipment that they will take on the way back. And so that wooded valley is actually kind of important because of what happens next. But the next day they start to move through this pass. They planned to, it seems like, based off of like what information we gathered after the fact and kind of what they were writing in their journals, that they planned to get over the pass and then make camp for the next night on the opposite side. So they were going to
yeah,
do a lot of climbing. But then it started to get like super snowy, visibility was really low, and so they lost their direction. This is what definitely what happened. This is where we actually know kind of the facts, because where they found the camp was towards the top of the Death Mountain. And so when they realized the mistake, and so they were like, okay, we're gonna set up camp right there on the slope of the mountain. And I'll show you in a second kind of the Google Earth photos. Like it is not a very forgiving. I mean, it is just
Death
uh,
Mountain. You know,
huh?
it's Death Mountain. Like,
Yeah, Dead Mountain. Already, like, huge red flag. But
yeah.
though,
Did they know? Did they know it was called Death Mountain,
I
or
mean, it's
were they?
also like Soviet Russia, so we don't know,
Yeah,
like, are there a lot of things that are named like,
yeah. And they probably were like in that society, like, oh yeah, we gotta go to Death Mountain. Like, if you don't, then that's not good for the state. You know, you're not helping Stalin out if you don't go to Death Mountain. You know,
Brad, you and vodka behind. Anyways, so
they
they
did.
realized there was a mistake, and it proved to be a very deadly one because that's where things started to go south. So they missed their check-in date. They said that they would send a telegram as soon as they got to this one point. This 12th of February passed, no messages had been received, and so people were like, "Okay, we need to go and find these people." And so on the 26th of February, we're jumping forward a ton. There's searchers, they go kind of where they think they were headed. Their route was kind of already planned out. And then to the west, they see that there's a tent and it looks something's wrong with it and it looks like it might be damaged. And so they're really confused. And one of the student who found the tent said that it was torn down and covered with snow, empty, and then all of the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind, which
Mm.
is so weird. And so another thing, when they looked at the tent further, they saw that it was actually ripped open from the inside. And so between that and then all of the food and clothing left behind, they're like, "What happened here?" Um,
Any
definitely,
group climber knows you need your shoes and clothes to get up the grade 3. That's pretty important there.
yeah, or else someone's gonna just take them,
Yeah, yeah.
rival climber or something like that.
So that doesn't add up. No, that doesn't add up.
Yeah. And so from there, they saw that it had been cut open from the inside. It was very clear that it had been cut, which already like so spooky. Like
Yeah.
you can't just open your tent. I mean, I get that there was terrible weather, but cut open from the inside, and then they see 9 sets of footprints, and some people were wearing only socks or, like, 1 shoe, or they were barefoot, and then they saw that the tracks led down to the edge of a nearby wood on the opposite side of the pass, to the northeast, and so they saw that there were, at, like, the edge of the forest, there were some remains of a small fire, and then they found the first 2 bodies. Whoa, like, right there. It was Krivonischenko and Doroshenko.
Mm.
What was weird about the bodies is no shoes, which you coulda guessed, and then they were dressed only in their underwear, which so weird. The branches on the tree, um, above them were broken up to 5 meters high, which is crazy high.
Now, what is 5 meters? I have no concept of that.
You should just Google 5 meters.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm too into that. All right.
Um, it's like 500 meters I see is like 1,600 feet. So it's
Okay.
not
Yeah,
crazy.
that's gonna help me. Wait, so the branches of the tree above where the bodies were found were.
Yes. And so they figured, okay, one of them was trying to climb up maybe and
Mm.
see if they can locate anything, which is weird because they also didn't have clothes on.
Yeah, that's weird. That's pretty weird most of the time.
So between that pine tree and the camp, they found 3 more bodies. And the way they died, this is so spooky. They died in poses suggesting that they were trying to return back to the camp. Now, I don't know what that means. I haven't necessarily seen pictures of those poses, but they were found at distances of 300, 480, and 630 meters from the tree. So they were all
Mm.
kind of separated. I think that's super spooky. I don't know what like pose. I guess just like reaching, like I don't know, something like that. That's spooky.
That's
I've used
super.
I've used that word so many times already.
What how could they have been? Were they posed or did they strike a pose? Is my question.
Mm. Well, so they had 5 people that they found. And so then the last 4, it took like 2 months to find the bodies of the last 4. And they were found under a ton of snow. It says 13 feet in a ravine, which was like 250 feet from that pine tree. And so like the distances are just so interesting here. Like it's not it almost makes it sound like none of this happened, like, super quick, it didn't all happen at once. They There was, like, movement involved. So, 3 of the 4 bodies were better dressed than the others, and there were signs that showed that, like, maybe some of the clothing that belonged to some of the other people was worn by these people who were in the ravine. So they may have, like, removed the clothing. Like, one of them was wearing, like, someone's burned pants, and, like, her, like, left foot and shin were wrapped in, like, a jacket that had been torn. And so, like, already they're like, "What the heck happened here?" There were some of the injuries, I mean, like, broken ribs, skull fractures, but no external wounds. Like, one woman, Dubinina, she was missing her tongue and eyes.
What?
Yeah, like, no sign of a fight or animal attack because they were able to see the prints of some of these people, and if there's an animal attack, which, like, to me, when I first heard of this, I was like, "Oh, like a polar bear or like a grizzly
Yeah,
bear or something." Like, some Russian bear just came through and just went crazy.
Soviet bag. Yeah.
"Soviet bear, you no vodka for me? What?" And then just crazy. So what's crazy is that they found trace radiation on some of the clothes. Yeah. And that was where things started to get really weird. Between the radiation, between, like, the tent being ripped open from within, there really weren't any indications of any other people being introduced into the scenario. Like, some of the it says that, like, some of the injuries, like, could not have been caused by human beings because the force of the blows had been way too strong and, like, no soft tissue was damaged.
That's really weird.
Yeah, and then we have, as far as I know, no information about the hikers' internal organs, like the condition of them.
Mm,
So, like, the official claim, I think, said that, like, 6 of them died of hypothermia and 3 died of fatal injuries. So, there's a couple like, that's kind of where things end. I mean, there's a couple of main sort of explanations of like, what could have happened, but I do wanna show you on Google Maps, like, where this is all happening, and we'll pause before we get into the explanations. Also, what is that noise that behind
no idea. I'm trying to figure that out.
dude's in the Dyatlov Pass right now.
Literally, it's the government trying to shut us down. It's trying to put static in our communications. I don't know. I think it's the fans on my computer.
Okay,
I don't know why they're freaking out so hard. I'm gonna cancel out some applications real quick.
you're good. Mine does You can put it on low battery mode, and that helps too.
It says that nothing's using significant battery. That's sus.
Alright, can you see this?
Yes.
Like, first off, this is dope. Like, this is really beautiful. But, like, imagine if it was like, yeah, this is, like, the monument, by the way, like, creepy ass monument. Like, look at this, like,
Death Mountain for sure.
Death
Creepy.
Mountain monument. But, like, imagine, like, camping here. Like, this is gonna be so windy. Like, there's not a ton of, like, shelter, um, just things to break the wind, and just that with snow. I mean, I feel like that's a really difficult trek.
I mean, that's gonna be one of the most remote places I've ever seen in my life. Like, where do you go?
So,
Where
let
is
me
there to get away from anyone?
yeah, let me zoom out. That's there. Let me go, satellite mode. We're talking nearest city. I mean, this is, like, crazy, crazy remote. I mean, it looks like the nearest, like, major area is Ushma, if this is even
Ah,
a city.
Ushma.
But, yeah, Dyatlov Pass up here, I mean, in terms of where it is in Russia, yeah, I mean, this is, like, not a whole lot of people are, renting Airbnbs up in this area. We'll say that. So, one thing I did wanna show you is there is an incident memorial. And dude, these pictures are like the most quintessential, like, Russian people on vacation pictures. Like, this is a great picture of what it would look like with snow. So already, like, this is just like a frozen wasteland.
Yeah, Baron, for
Like,
sure.
there's the creepy monument. This
Wait,
is like
what's that?
That's the monument. They're like
That's
these
great.
climbers.
They were like, "All right, Yuri, we need something reverent. We need something, kind of solemn." And he's like, "I got you. I got you. Don't even worry about it." And they're
Like,
like,
no,
"What?"
we need something, Yuri, listen to me. We need something Denver Airport.
Yeah,
This is
yeah, yeah.
this is giving Denver Airport conspiracy.
Should I more hanging bodies? Should I done more hanging bodies? That's crazy. That's crazy.
I know. And then like this plaque is just so like Soviet, just kind of awesome. But then we then we get to the Russian hikers.
Yeah.
There's look at this dude. Like, I mean, don't these people look just so Russian? Like,
Yeah,
I
we're not allowed to
like,
smile in pictures.
like
So,
this is awesome. Like, I feel like you
wow.
could just hang out at this like incident memorial. You'd probably see one person every like 4 days, but it'd be like someone like this, you know. And if you
Yeah.
spoke Russian, like they got stories. Like, what are you doing here? You know?
I mean, the amount of effort it takes to get there alone is probably so immense
Yeah.
that
I mean, like,
anyone you meet there will be interesting and know the whole story more than you probably.
yeah. I mean, like, like what's? I just like they get better. They just get better. This guy looks like Russian Bert Kreischer. I mean, hey,
Oh, no, look.
yeah. Anyways, so that's that. I thought you should see that. I thought you should see kind of how creepy the memorial is. Also, like just the general like landscape is just so spooky. Just imagine seeing you're trying to find these hikers and it's snowy, you can't see much. Sorry, I gotta stop. I gotta stop clicking through this. And you just see like a tent that is just kind of billowing in the wind that's kind of ripped open and just wondering like what is that? And I feel like as somebody like if I was going to be part of the rescue party, I don't know, that would just be I mean finding the bodies too, like what happened and
That's true. That's
am
true.
I in danger, you know?
Yeah.
So let's jump into like the main theories that people talk about, and then you and I can say which one we think we believe in the most.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the most accepted modern explanation is?
Well, I was gonna say avalanche, but it doesn't look like there's really any cliffs or crazy, ability for snow to gather. So I think maybe most people would probably say animals or hypothermia made them act crazy. That's my thought.
Okay, so the avalanche is the most accepted modern explanation.
Okay, okay.
So they think that like a small shift in the snow, already they were disoriented, right? They had lost their way. They'd said, okay, like we're going to just camp out here on Death Mountain. That wasn't part of the plan. But I mean, when is camping out on Death Mountain part of the plan?
Never want that to be part of the plan. That's bad
No.
plan.
So they think that there was a shift in the snow. It collapsed part of the tent, maybe, and they freaked out. And so they just slashed and they're like, we need to get out. Like somebody was like, oh, there's going to be an avalanche. Like they
Yeah.
were already like, it was like the Enneagram 6 of the group, you know, who was just thinking about avalanche the entire time.
Yeah.
Like if you sense an avalanche is coming, get out of there. Trying to be like our mom.
Yeah. Yeah. She would be afraid of that.
So in 2021, there was a study, a Swiss study that did show how like something called a delayed slab avalanche could match the scene. And so the reasons this kind of theory of the avalanche works is it would kind of fit the injuries and maybe the panic, but then the slope wasn't really steep enough for an avalanche, and the tent wasn't completely buried. It also doesn't explain uh, the clothes. It doesn't explain the fact that people were so far away from the tent and
Mm.
scattered. You would think that maybe they just would have realized that there was an avalanche. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be in a tent and like think there's an avalanche going on.
I mean, anytime I've been in a tent and anything happens, I'm terrified
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
can't see. You can't see. Like it could be anyone. You
I
know?
mean, I'm terrified in this shed, to be honest. Like, if that cat comes back, like, I'm peeing my pants, dude. Like,
Well, and up there in Russia, the like serial killers per capita of like, because it's you'd have to be crazy to live up there.
yeah.
So anyone that might come around is probably trying to kill you.
And
Probably.
no one's out there. Dude, there could be dinosaurs in Russia, which we should definitely do an episode about, like, dinosaur sightings in the Amazon rainforest. Because
Yeah.
I personally believe there are probably, like, some pterodactyls or something out there that
Oh
we
yeah.
just, especially the ocean. But, like like, rural Russia is probably the land equivalent to, like, the deep ocean, like, we don't know what's going on up
Good
there.
point. Good point.
Anyways, so I don't know, avalanche, like, doesn't really do it for me. The next one was military testing or secret weapons.
Mm.
The potential that this was something called a parachute mine test. I will spare you the details of what a parachute mine is, but it's like a flash or a blast that causes confusion. It could injure you, maybe even burn you. And so apparently some eyewitnesses reported orange orbs in the sky, but like people who say that they see orbs in the sky, like you could probably go to your 7-Eleven and be like, "Hey man, seen any orbs in the sky recently?" And the guy would probably be like, "Yeah, I've seen a couple orbs." Like,
You know about the orbs too?
I don't think you can trust the orb guys in any of these conspiracy theories.
There's always an orb guy though, and they're always at the most pivotal part of the story, which is the worst. You know?
And it's like when a serial killer when the police discover a body, like the serial killer, like a common thing is they show up at the scene of the crime and they like ask the police, they're like, "So, who do you think did it?" I feel like that's orb guys. Like, there was a UFO sighting or something, or like the news is there. It's like, I saw some orbs, man. I don't know. I don't know what they were. I didn't think to take my phone out either.
They're just having fun with it. They like toying with us. The aliens have decided they know that we don't trust orb guys, and they were like, "That's who we need to camouflage ourselves as." That's
Yeah,
good.
but it's gonna be the one orb guy out of 20 that actually
Yeah.
saw the orbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the radiation on their clothing kind of could work there, but then there really wasn't any like confirmed test records. I mean, that's gonna be are the Soviets in 1959 gonna say like where they're testing things? No. I think this is actually a pretty likely scenario. I think that you have to ask the questions about, collaboration between these people were college students. They were planning this, this hike. Did the Russian military or Soviet military even think, hey, someone's going to be up here, so we should block it off? Probably not.
No way.
But we'll move to the next one just for the sake of time. The next one's really interesting, and we should do a whole episode on just like sound and people lifting things with frequencies. People think that the wind patterns combined with the shape of the mountain could have created a low frequency sound, a sound wave causing nausea, fear, and disorientation. So it'd be like infrasound panic. That could explain why they ran away without proper gear, could have triggered some kind of mass hysteria in just such a unique way that we hadn't seen before. But what it doesn't cover is the physical trauma, uh,
Yeah.
the injuries. I mean, the injuries are really serious.
Yeah. No, I mean, like Benson Boone can cause mass hysteria and make people want to gouge their eyes out, but they won't. So what's up with that? How did the lady's tongue go missing? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. So the next one's really creepy, and I need to find this picture. This whole thing is like almost like Blair Witch Project, where they had cameras with them, so there are certain photos, and
Oh,
they're like black and white. My dude, my light just flickered. Oh, shoot, shoot, bro, it's getting spooky. All right, so there's one blurry photo from one of the hikers' cameras that shows a dark human-like figure on a ridge.
that's not real, dude. That's not real.
And like rumors later called it the Menk, MENK, which apparently is a local Bigfoot legend in the area.
I knew Bigfoot was gonna show up. I knew Bigfoot was gonna show up. That's crazy.
So that could explain the missing tongue and eyes. It could explain potentially if we're talking about like a subhuman even the right word, like a supernatural creature with strength. I mean, you've got that Mank build, but people said, it could have just been like a member of the group in like caught in like a shadow or something.
Yeah, but what's he doing all the way up there? That's what's up with that?
Yeah, and while you're thinking about the Mank, let me see if I can find that picture real quick. Yeah. Yeah, here we are. This one's yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, yes.
It's one of the last known photos.
Is it up? Dude, no. That's look at
Ma-
his head.
Huh?
His head is so big. That's not a person.
Dude, this is just a big old Russian guy who's in the woods. I'm telling you. That is a spooky photo, bro. That is
That's
so
he's
that
hitting the
is
big pose and everything. That's
I
crazy.
know, I know. That's what's nuts about it. That's what's nuts.
If that doesn't make you think that something weird is going on.
Dude, the Mank is out there. This is Mank. Okay, so if Bigfoot is like, would you say Bigfoot is like primarily like Appalachia?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like Igor, like his cousin. In
Yeah. The vodka drinking, bigger, probably
like,
smokes.
I'm surprised he doesn't have an Adidas tracksuit on right now.
Yeah. I could see that.
Like,
I'm
if
sure
we could
by
just do the,
now.
huh?
By now the mate does for sure.
Yeah,
Right?
Mank is definitely squatting
Yeah.
with the black and white Adidas tracksuit. He might have a chain on, kind of like you right now,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
ripping cigs, being like, back in '59. Oh wait, no, wait, that's a mobster voice. What am I doing?
That's
I
the
gotta
New
look.
York Sasquatch.
Yeah, he's outside the bodega, just eating
Yeah.
chocolates. Yeah. So, anyways, that is in oddly terrifying, which I would agree that is definitely oddly terrifying. And when you know more about this, it's even creepier.
Well, it's fascinating too because Bigfoot has a long history of people saying that Bigfoot can actually travel interdimensionally through portals. So and I'm serious. This is like a big aspect of the Bigfoot lore is that this is why he evades capture so often is because he can interdimensionally pass through time and space. And maybe he ended up in Russia and was like, no way. I never see people out here. I get a snack. And then he bounced back over to Alabama or whatever.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. Well, so we've got the Mank, and then another one, obviously, last one. If you've got orb guys, you've got UFOs.
Yeah.
UFO or alien encounter was like the last one because of the orbs in the sky, potentially a Soviet cover up. Uh, I feel like that's kind of a cop out because it's just a way to just explain sort of what is going on. It just it makes you wonder, like, if they're in a tent, like maybe they saw lights or something like that. I don't know if that would have caused them to like slash and run. I just feel like the clothing and all that kind of stuff, like I just feel uh, iffy about the UFO explanation.
Here's what I know about hypothermia is that when you get hypothermia, sometimes you get a rare stimulus on your body that makes you feel really hot.
Yep, exactly.
They could have shed their clothes, but what it doesn't explain is the people they found with pieces of clothing on clearly were trying to like recover themselves, which I find odd if they were already in this state because from what I've heard, it lasts till you die. So why would they have any reason to put more clothing on? That's strange.
Right. I agree. And some people wondered if there was some kind of like fight or like relational tension between some of them. And like, that's why, but apparently, like, I mean, humans could not have caused some of the issues, some of the injuries. The thing that kind of shrouds this entire mystery is that the Soviets had these files classified for decades. So they're really we don't know necessarily what level of scrutiny this case was came under like right after when everything was fresh and how much of it was kind of hearsay versus how much of it was true. But the thing that remains constant through it all is that we really don't know what happened and they can't explain a lot of it. And so they actually reopened the investigation. They did one in 1959 and then they did one in 2019 and then in 2020. And in 2020, prosecutors, which is weird that they were prosecutors, they concluded that it was that snow slab avalanche, but people kind of aren't buying that.
When it's weird, they felt like they needed to say something, you know?
Right.
Gosh, I thought someone was shining a light through the window across from me. My word, dude.
So
It's getting crazy.
yeah, I think this is definitely a spooky one. I guess that kind of leaves it at what's theory do you think is the most accurate? Like, what do you feel? I mean, there's more. There's more than what we just like. People theorize that there was like a local like group of people. There's just a lot of different ones. But I don't know what makes the most sense to you.
I'll tell you what makes the most sense to me is they were clearly out there looking for Agartha, which is the land beneath Earth, right? So, as we all know, the Earth is hollow, and if there are certain places on Earth that you can go and find entrances into these tunnels that lead you into the core of the Earth, where the Lemurians live in the core of the Earth. So, this we'll definitely talk about this eventually, right?
There's no core of the Earth, dude. It's flat.
No, well, even if it was flat, you could still get down under in there, you know? The point being, everyone's trying to look for Agartha, and Hitler in World War II sent a lot of people to Antarctica. Not a lot of fighting going on there. Very strange. Lots of lifeboats with no people around in Antarctica. And they think that he was looking for an entrance into Agartha, that commonly these entrances are found at the base of mountains and in valleys and in remote sort of glacial areas. And so I think they found an entrance to Agartha. Giants or Lemurians found them and they weren't pure of heart, so they killed them. And then uh, the Soviets knew that they couldn't let anyone know about the existence of Agartha and that they were looking for it. And so they covered it all up. That's what I'm thinking.
So it's like trolls.
In a way, yes, pure of heart trolls.
I'm just thinking of the I got this feeling. Like Justin Timberlake did not need to go that hard for Trolls soundtrack. No,
No,
I
it's
think
actually
that's an interesting theory. Like it does make you wonder, like, did they stumble upon something that they shouldn't have?
yeah.
And
Well, in all seriousness, like I think the uranium, the radiation that occurred possibly points to them finding some kind of Soviet activity the government had, and that's probably something really suspicious that they covered up for that reason.
yeah, I think that's like a really likely reason. The thing that the thing that also you could think about is like were the facts presented after the fact in a way that was accurate? So, like, could they have been changed by somebody? I think so. I mean, like, you think about like Soviet Russia, I mean, they could really come up with whatever narrative.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
they're a bomb crater there, and who's gonna go check? Like, no
yeah,
one's
I
gonna
mean,
go.
they have photos of the site, apparently, but I mean, who
Yeah,
knows?
but in
I think,
1959, Russia is probably the most like locked down place of
yeah,
all time.
yeah. I think that it's the Mank. No, I actually do think when I was reading through all of this, the first time I read through it, I was like, okay, really strikes me as some kind of animal. And then the second time, I'm like, it feels like they felt threatened by something and they needed to run. And like the tree, somebody was, you know, climbing up the tree. People, ran back towards towards the camp, which could have been maybe somebody was attacked. Some of them died of hypothermia, but, like, I felt like maybe one of them have been attacked by some kind of animal, and I don't know. It's a very confusing one. You also I mean, the radiation could have been from, like, the lab testing equipment, maybe there really wasn't radiation. It's not
Yeah,
like the radiation was on everyone's clothing.
right.
So, the radiation part, it's fun to think about what that could be, but I don't know, that to me feels yeah. But hey,
It's just
shout out to the guy that turned around, like, he's probably like, "Oh, maybe Yuri Yudin, the guy who turned around, is the Mank."
he could have been so upset that they were like, "No, let's not bring the drinks. Don't bring the drugs. Leave it behind." And he was like, "That was my idea." And then he gets in there and he's like, "This'll teach you," you know? But then, then he would have had to actually do the grade 3 climb. I don't think he had it in him. So I think that rules it out. I
He
could just
didn't
tell.
also knee pain, I mean, like, that's I don't know. Somebody go watch the documentary Maru, the ice
Yeah.
cubes. Dude, like, these guys are, like, losing fingers and stuff. I guarantee you every single one of them had knee pain, but I don't
Yeah, that
know.
must have sounded really weird to them. They were like,
Like, "My knee, gotta
"What?"
go." Like, dude couldn't just, like, take some aspirin or something. I mean, they were, like, really yeah, I mean, he was, like, really close to dying too. He was also one of the younger ones on the trip. So, all in all, I think really interesting mystery. It definitely makes you think. I don't think we'll ever get an answer, but I'm definitely gonna go research this Mank local Bigfoot legend and see how many Bigfoot legends there are, um,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah. Well, the interdimensional travel, he gets around. So there's stories everywhere, you know.
Yeah, and if anyone actually watches this or watches this far, feel free to suggest a conspiracy theory. I don't think we'll cover QAnon or Pizzagate or anything, like, political right now, but we're definitely
Too
open.
close to Riley. Too close to him.
We gotta stop this narrative before it starts, so this, like, right but yeah, thanks for watching, Zach. It's been a pleasure, super fun. Maybe we can decide on one for next week,
Yeah. I
and
like that.
wish me safe travels. If I disappear on the way back to my home from the shed, I don't want anyone to think that it was the cat because it was obviously the Mank.
Yeah. If you get lost, do not camp on Death Mountain.
Yep, good advice. Well, stay spooky, Zach.
Adios.